It's a leech! Kill it! Filthy piece of shit! Roast it alive! Doesn't like fire, does it? Sir! Step away! It's illegal! Let's see how he likes a bit of fire!
Opium is one of the main ingredients of Strickland's medication. Never a good move.
It's one of them! It's a leech! Leech boy! Watch out! Shit, that leech is off! Are you deaf? Did you hear me? Last warning, sir. There's one. It's mine. I'll take it.
lucky to have Dr. Reed. I met him in New York.
If only there were more of us. Less resignation and more determination.
I know I can count. Here again.
It's locked.
I have wasted too much energy for so little result.
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening.
Goodbye, Nurse.
Daily routine.
I'm quite busy right now.
Thank you for your time. Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed.
I located the shop, but it was vandalized, and
I was afraid of such bad news. People are so desperate.
That's quite a list you ordered. Opium, sodium hypochlorite. It can't be just headaches you're trying to cure.
This dreadful influenza, of course. I already ran some tests.
Do you realize you could create a lethal poison without the correct dosage? Then there are the legal ramifications.
Is this not true of any medical substance, Dr. Reed? However, if you would agree to improve it, I'd be glad to accept your help.
As long as you promise to be scrupulous with your experiment.
That's all I'm asking for, Doctor.
I want to know about these secret tests you run, and if they can save people.
I know I may sound presumptuous, but I'm just following your...
Self-confidence is essential in...
But you never doubt yourself, Dr. Reed. I've read all...
Don't you think...
Funny those words coming from the only doctor here who has spent more time outside this hospital than in.
Goodbye. I can't let Strickland put his patients at risk with opium. Perhaps an adjusted formula will deliver more of a placebo effect.
Sadly depart. I'm managing a train tunnel.
Balls of Mars, fortifiers. As popular as they are ineffective. But they do contain iron tartrate, and that might prove itself useful. behavior is similar to the infected William Bishop. Must be the same strain. This sickness moves faster than influenza. These scowls feed from corpses and the husks of animals. They're not after blood. Mr. Connor's injuries don't match the report. I'd better look into this. It's locked, all right. Skulls can be so ferocious. I'm not sure I can defeat them without becoming stronger. To drink blood is so tempting. Sodium hypochlorite. Dangerous to administer, but efficient in the proper dosage.
Finally, you've returned, Doctor. Did you find anything of value?
Yes, nurse.
You've worked your first miracle, Doctor. Now, this patient here needs immediate treatment.
Duty calls. When the storm has passed, I'll show you how to mix the remedy yourself with the same basic ingredients.
Many thanks, Doctor.
To give him the benefit of the doubt.
Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland. Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to...
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
How can I be sure I'll not find your unconscious body in the house again?
I promise you'll not find my unconscious body.
For God's sake, how can you say such a thing?
How can you refuse to listen? I tried to warn you for so long.
No, I won't let my only son die. You promised me you'll stay alive.
Your son lied to you, like the whole world lies to us.
I know that Pembroke will prevail and survive this epidemic.
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
Good evening, Mr. Goswick.
I'm okay.
Do you need any help?
I'm afraid I may, sir. I don't mean to be a burden.
You are not a burden, sir. Healing you is my responsibility.
And you have my gratitude.
Admit it, Mortimer. Your mother...
Yes, it's true.
All right, then. This is the first time we've really shared in...
Call it what you want, Doctor.
You can trust me. I won't report you to the authorities.
I guess I should thank you, then.
Can I help you in any way, Mr. Goswick?
I wrote a letter for my mother. She was supposed to read it after my death. But...
I see. And is the...
Yes. And I don't want anyone...
How
So painful, I'd rather not.
Do you need any help?
Thank you, Dr. Reed, but you've done enough already.
I have to go now.
I'm alright. Don't waste your time with me.
Good evening, Doctor. How is my son doing?
Your son wished to die, Beatrice. Why did...
Are you not aware suicide is a crime?
I understand you fear the legal consequences, Mrs. Goswick. But don't you realize your silence significantly...
All my son needs is help and comprehension. Not judgment and punishment for what he may or may not have...
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
Good evening, sir.
I will not let you
Doctor.
down, my boy.
Dr. Reed, may I help you?
What can...
Every
news...
It seemed to be.
What can you...
This hospital was founded to
Can you be more specific?
Well, veterans, the elderly.
Before you arrived...
If you must know, this was my...
Well, Dr. Swansea certainly has confidence in...
Not in an official capacity, but the Pembroke doesn't always work above board, so to speak.
What about medical...
Dr. Reed, we don't have the money and resources here at the Pembroke like they do in the West End. We do what we can.
How is the duty...
Everybody works until they can't. If there's time, they'll eat a meal and shed a silent tear.
I'll see you... Good evening, Dr. Tip.
Dr. Reed, any...
Do you need any medical assistance?
Come on, don't be...
Goodbye, Dr. Tip.
Here again.
It's locked, all right.
Disgust on every street corner. The daily routine.
It's locked. The flower's dying. It needs water. It's locked. Good evening.
Good evening.
Pepper, are you sure?
To become a nurse was a little girl's dream. But in the...
But you're doing something important here.
We save lives, sure. Each time we send a cured patient home, it's a relief beyond words. But since the epidemic...
But you're doing...
We save...
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins. Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doc.
I have some...
What?
I retrieved your wallet. With all the...
Well, yeah, Pippa Hawkins is my girl, so...
Not at all, Milton.
Good.
What's going on between you?
Pippa's tired. Tired of all this shit. Tired of all those corp...
During the war, I witnessed a few couples just like you come together.
Maybe you're right. But we support each other.
What?
Pippa's
You do realize you could both get fired. Hospital staff are not meant to have intimate
Come on, Dr. Reed. Do you know how many...
Do you know that no...
That's not a surprise. We've talked...
Does it not bother you?
Sometimes I think she may be right. We should run away while we can.
I'd like...
Wise choice, Dr. Reed. Last summer's epidemic was...
Good evening.
Good evening.
Pepper, I know you're very close to Milton Hooks.
Yes? Milton Hooks is my man.
I have no intention of
The rules say I won't be allowed to work as a nurse and...
Is he worth?
Hey, I'm no perfect woman, and Milton...
Do you need...
I'm fine.
What steps?
I don't know yet. My sister believes that the real fight is in the streets now.
And what about Milton Hooks?
For Milton, any change means more comfort and more peace.
If you feel that saving lives is not useful enough, perhaps it means that you've lost faith.
On the contrary, my faith...
Good.
Blaming me will not further your agenda, sir. How long's it going to take?
It's locked.
Good evening.
Please.
Of course.
Strickland's project could be dangerous. I have a mind to report him to Dr. Ackroyd.
Dr. Reed, may I help you?
I'll see.
I will not let you down, my boy.
I'm quite
I know that you're a busy man.
The great Dr. Reed honors me with a...
Dr. Strickland devised an experimental drug for the Spanish flu that he asked me to manufacture.
You know what I think of fringe medical...
That's exactly why I want you to keep the result, Doctor. I made sure it won't harm anyone, but I'd like you...
I see. Put it in my cabinet. I'll give you the key. I'll make sure no one uses this medication.
I'll do that. Thank you.
Thank you for your trust on the matter.
Do you think Dr. Strickland has any chance of...
His wish to cure the sick is not driven by pride, but by an idealistic view about our mission here. Honestly,
You consider him a good practitioner?
Strickland may be a rival, but I will not use dirty tricks or regulations to prove him wrong. We are doctors.
Thank you. Good evening.
And good evening.
Did you know Dr. Ackroyd never reported your experimental research, despite the fact he doesn't?
Really? I didn't suspect he knew about my work. I must confess I am surprised.
Perhaps he thinks you should realize for yourself that...
See how condescending he can be?
Do you need my...
You don't have to worry about me, Dr. Reed.
Goodbye, Dr.
Discussed on every street corner. The daily routine.
It's locked, all right. Now that Dr. Ackroyd has been warned, he should make good use of this formula. It's locked. It's locked, all right. It's locked.
Dr. Reed, may I help?
I'll see. Good evening.
I'm okay.
Your medical report says you're not affected by the Spanish flu. What do you think of that, Mortimer?
Does it make me happy? Not in the slightest. If it was up to me, I would have left this place long.
And why do you think you don't?
I know the staff have more important things to do than look after me. There's plenty of patients here who need... I'm all right. Don't waste your time with me.
Good evening.
I've read your son's medical report, Beatrice. It's not the flu or anything life-threatening.
He was at death's door when he was brought here. I just want him to be better as soon as possible. Take care of him then, Dr. Reed. People here only seem to focus on contagious patients. I worry...
Good.
Reads me like a book. I'll never read anything from her.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Goodbye.
Sweet girl. Reads me like a book.
I'm all right.
I'll never
Don't
could
waste
keep
your
it
time with
from
me.
her.
I'm quite...
Thank...
I wish I could be sick again. Feel my blood boil with the fever.
Good evening.
Evening.
Why do you...
Shells. It happened during my leave. It was...
Why lie about it?
Come on. It's one thing to come...
Reconstructive surgery has been very...
I don't want to wear a bloody mask for the rest of my life. I'd rather stay here and just be forgot.
Tell me what...
I went with a whore in Rouen.
Did you start the fire?
No. It's just that I was...
Why did...
I wasn't as fit.
Goodbye for...
Fear and disgust on every street corner. A daily routine.
I wish I could be sick again. Feel my blood boil.
Hello again.
Good... Good evening.
Good evening.
According to the report I read, your unprofessional conduct put a patient in danger.
That's not true. I know when my patient's life is at risk, and I'm more competent than a lot of doctors that I know. Problem is, I'm a woman.
I don't see what your gender has to do with your abilities, nurse.
Yes, nurse. Because I'll never be a doctor, no matter what my skills. I could make a decision that could save a life, but oh no, that's unbecoming conduct.
Have you heard of Elizabeth Blackwell? She was the first woman listed on the UK Medical Register.
To have the right to study, shouldn't be determined by...
Goodbye.
Another night.
Good evening.
Doctor...
Nurse Brannigan has been recently accused of...
This kind of protest is nothing but elitist bullshit. I trust Nurse Brannigan with my life.
Do you really think she could be the next...
Believe me, Dr. Reed, a time will come when skill and skill alone will determine who can be a physician and who cannot.
Goodbye, Dr. T.
Please, Jonathan, come in. Fascinating, is it not? In the last decade, so many mysteries have been brought to light with our microscopes. The human body, biology's penultimate frontier. The more we explore its boundaries, the less we're able to trace a clear line between life and death. You, my friend, have a foot in both countries. The view must be vertiginous.
It's at least as vertiginous as chatting about vampires with you, I would say.
This must be all so new to you. This area of town, the hospital, a brand new life. How stimulating it must be.
I wish I could share your enthusiasm, Dr. Swansea, but my condition defies scientific categorization. Undead? Unalive? Immortality defies logic.
I cannot express my thrill at this serendipitous turn of events. The world's most eminent specialist in blood transfusions, a vampire. One might say a gift from heaven.
It may seem strange, but your work...
Forgive me. I've been an admirer of your work for a long time, and now you are so much more than a brilliant physician.
I'm not some doe-eyed student, Edgar. I understand we both have something to gain from this relation.
Very well. I have a task for you, Jonathan. Something that will require all your newfound skills.
Please, go on.
The Pembroke only survives through the generosity of our benefactors. Unfortunately, our main donor has found herself in a bit of a bind. Now, if you could help her out...
A spokesman or politician is what you need. That's not my calling. And until I come to understand what has happened to me, I require discretion.
Discretion is in order, Jonathan. Lady Ashbury has recently received rather indelicate correspondence that, if revealed, would jeopardize her position.
And you would like me to
By the stole, of course not. I would just like you to pay her a visit. Her ladyship is certainly near the tents outside, tending the sick. You can't miss her. Look for someone impossibly delicate.
Accepted. I'll see what kind of trouble Lady Ashbury is in.
Do you need some...
I have just a...
Then ask.
You mentioned something about a secret...
Certainly. I've been a member of the Brotherhood of St. Paul's Stole for several years. We are pledged...
Yet you don't fear me. And still, you know the monster that lurks beneath the civilized surface.
The Brotherhood has studied your kind for centuries. We believe you are as supernatural as a lion is to a gazelle.
That explains your nightly wanderings about the docks and the questions you ask.
I feel it wasn't mere coincidence that led us to that part of town. There was something as yet unseen that set those chain of events.
Since you seem quite the expert on vampires, what could you tell me about my condition and how it came about?
As men of science, our first step is always to start with what we...
The sun. The morning following my...
You will find there is very little that can kill a vampire, my friend. You have been offered relative immortality. The sun will most certainly hurt you, leaving you weakened and damaged, but it will not destroy you.
Must I take a life to live?
You are a vampire. You feed, and blood is the sole sustenance that can sustain your immortal frame. And only a living creature contains the nourishment you require.
Since I'm the one working for you, what should I know about Pembroke Hospital?
Well, for many years, we have been the only medical facility in this part of town that people can rely on. We support the community here.
Where do...
To be honest...
What do you expect of...
What we need is hope.
The man we pursued and slew in the canning factory, William Bishop, I believe, was he a vampire?
He was a Skald, technically speaking. The debate rages as to their classification. Some think them a subspecies of vampire, others something else.
Just for clarity, what differences are there between myself and a Skald?
A Skald is easier to eliminate, Jonathan, even if they remain formidable foes for the unprepared. Vampires... Now, vampires exist beyond the mortal realm.
How do...
The name means slave. The etymology may indicate that they are a lesser species of vampire. From what I know, vampires tend to despise them.
We'll see. It's locked, all right.
The pain. It's here again.
The flu took my dear wife, Emily. I take comfort knowing we'll soon be together again.
Mr. Rainfield, that's no way to talk. You're in good hands here, and we'll be up again soon enough. Now do me a kindness and get some sleep. I'll be back round later.
Your words are kind, the blessings of an angel. You're the sweet, sweet Lady of Mercy.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. It's a pleasure to see you again. You seem surprised. Dr. Swansea has brought me up to speed concerning your recent appointment to Pembroke Hospital.
You're a the lady who saved me that night, before vanishing into thin air. I remember you from the pub with Dr. Swansea.
Indeed. Allow me to introduce myself formally this time. My name is Lady Ashbury. I remember you well, in spite of the brevity of our encounter.
Apologies. You've taken me by surprise.
The pleasure is mine.
I hope you're more disposed to answer my questions now.
You must have countless questions, but are rather urgent
Have any of the patients given you trouble?
These poor souls have so little left to live for. I do...
The world would be a better place if it were cared for by women.
You make me blush. I am simply an...
Pardon my boldness, Your Ladyship, but I have
Hunger for answers is rivaled only by your...
I'm a scientist. My trade is in the deciphering of mysteries, and who would be so foolish as to threaten you?
Even if it were the case, and I highly doubt it, a vampire would have asked for something more valuable than money. My suspicions lean toward a patient, or their family.
If we're dealing with an ordinary criminal, surely you've the means to deal with it yourself, if I may.
As immortal tradition doth dictate, all fangs and hypnotic eyes ablaze, the blood would run like a river. That's what I hope to avoid. Violence has a tendency to spiral out of control.
What are your expectations?
As the newly appointed surgeon of this hospital, you are in an excellent position to ask innocent questions and deftly learn the identity of my...
Please continue. Every detail.
My embarrassment in this matter is eclipsed only by my shame at having put the hospital at risk. The threat from our anonymous scoundrel is clear. A list of dates. My visits coinciding with the dates of suspicious patient deaths due to massive blood loss.
Is it true?
Now aren't you the blunt one?
Excuse my impertinence, Your Ladyship. This is not an interrogation. I assure you that this line of questioning is in your best interest.
In all honesty, I'm not simply a patron to the hospital. My visits serve a dual purpose. Dr. Swansea has been treating my condition with a revolutionary technique of blood transfusion. It seems you are a specialist in the domain.
I'll take care of it. Do you know where I should start?
If that was the case, I'd settle the matter myself. You could talk to our local gossip, Harriet Jones. Not a pin drops here without her hearing about it.
I'll meet that woman now.
My life, as others know, is in your hands, Dr. Reed. I'm sure of your discretion, but I do fear your powers of persuasion will be put to the test. When this is resolved, I'll be your obligé. I'll answer all questions in regards of your condition.